Today, mention peptides and mostly means retatrutide, tirzepatide. I mean, people talk about GLP-1s. They're not the only peptides, and they're not the only valuable peptides. I guess weight loss is more important to people than anything else. So let me tell you a story about TB500, thymosin beta 4. In 2023, I was sitting at the island in my kitchen, and my wife was standing across from me, and I started to have a stroke. My left side of my face started to droop, and Elisa said, "I think you're having a stroke." And I was having trouble with my left thumb when I was texting. And I said, "I know something's going wrong." So she immediately reminded me to reconstitute some thymosin beta 4. I had TB500 in the freezer. I reconstituted it. My nephew Tim was here. I became completely paralyzed on the left side of my body. I tried to stand up and I fell forward and hit the table. I took a 6 milligram shot of TB500 and we called the ambulance. By the time the ambulance got here, they had to take me out on a gurney. They put me in the ambulance and started to drive me to the hospital. While I was in the ambulance, all of a sudden, I was able to move my left hand. And I said to the ambulance attendant, I said, "Look at this, I'm moving my left hand." And he said, "Well, move your leg," because I couldn't move my left leg either earlier. And I was able to move it. He said, "Oh, you didn't have a stroke, you had a TIA." Okay. We get to the hospital. They hear my story. They said the same thing. You couldn't have had a stroke and been completely paralyzed on the left side of your body, and all of a sudden it's gone. Now, I didn't tell anybody I took 6 milligrams of TB500. So we get to the hospital. I told them my story. They immediately sent me for an MRI with contrast. And they said, "You had a massive stroke in the right hemisphere of your brain." It was both hemorrhagic, meaning bleeding, and ischemic. They said, "You really did have a stroke. It wasn't a TIA." I was out of the hospital the next day and at the gym. No one could believe it. They came in and they told me all sorts of crazy stuff like, "Oh, God did this for you. You're so lucky. This is a miracle." Usually somebody with this level of stroke is in the hospital learning how to chew again. And I was back in the gym like 2 days later, training. The moral of the story is keep thymosin beta 4 or TB500 in your freezer, because if you need it, you're going to want to use it as quickly as possible. It wasn't a wild idea for me because I had been reading studies for a long time showing that thymosin beta 4 can resolve ischemic events with the heart and the brain if you get it within an hour or two of the event. And I took it within minutes of the event. I was still paralyzed. So remember this, and don't let anybody tell you different, because it works. I was back to normal in no time at all. And I was validated as having a very major stroke. So it's not all about weight loss. Peptides are magic. If you know which ones to use, have some in your freezer, TB500 or thymosin beta 4, in case there's an event. There you go.